Okay, Shalom Akim, Kahalayim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash, and double honors to greatness and apostles, Thoudy Yahushai for the strength, to make this video. And Yah Ratazah is the brother Ratazah Racha Halawayah, meaning willing spirit praise Yahweh. And of course, when we say Kahalayim La, that means all praises to. And then Yahweh is the name of the Most High, of whom the world ignorantly calls God. And Yahushai is the name of the Messiah for Israel, even more specifically the elect, of whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. So when we say Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, it's through Yahushai, the mediator between Israel and the Most High Yahweh. So yeah, that's just a brief introduction into the ancient Hebrew. But the topic today, as I mentioned in the title, prayer and fasting are special weapons. They are very, very, very special weapons, man. And we're going to go through certain precepts in order to bring that point across. Because, in this time and age, as the scriptures say, which I will bring out the precept in 2 Corinthians 10, verse 4, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty, to the pulling down through the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, through the Most High, of whom pulls down strongholds, man, which I will get anyways. That was just me roughly phrasing it. But prayer and fasting is key, man, because the things of the spiritual realm conquer the things of the flesh. And that's why Esau is really just fighting a losing battle on his side. He's going to try and fight the chariots, but he's fighting a losing battle because he's already destined, it's already been written, his downfall, man. Even though Obadiah, of course, is a key part of that. Jeremiah 49, Isaiah 47 as well, also other precepts pertain to that, or other chapters pertain to the downfall of Esau Edom. So let me get my first precept. This is Psalms 69, verse 10. It says here, when I wept and chastened my soul with fasting, that was to my reproach. And then if you actually research what reproach means, that goes into shame. So of course, when you also fast as well, you're in a weak state. In a fleshly manner, in a carnal manner, you're more in a weak state. But despite that, your spirit is actually being strengthened as you fast as well, because you're not giving into the flesh, but you're actually giving into the spirit. You're giving more support in the spirit when you fast too. So that's Psalms 69 and 10. When I wept, you're in a state of sorrow, and chastened my soul with fasting, that was to be my reproach, man. And yeah, to be in a if you actually research it, that goes into shame, man. Some kind of disgrace. But really, the point is that you are in a weakened state, when you do fast. You're not in that state of power as you are when you're eating. So it's like, you're more lowly, you're humbled down. That's what fasting actually does. So that's Psalm 69 and verse 10. Let me get Psalms 35 here. So this is Psalms 35 and verse 13. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into mine own bosom. So of course, even when we fast as well, Yahweh Shem Yahushai hears those prayers because we're humbling ourselves to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, first of all, with fasting, and then which means we have then better access to Yahweh Shem Yahushai when we pray too, because we're humbling our souls. That's the thing. And when we humble ourselves, again, that's lowering ourselves and then putting ourselves in submission, to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So we've got to remember that prayer and fasting is key. And of course, the flesh does get weak when we do so. Just simply the trade-off, innit? Strength in the spirit and the flesh is weak. The flesh becomes weak with fasting. So let me get this one as well. Another precept too. As I said there in Psalms 35 and verse 13, I humbled my soul with fasting. So fasting is another way to humble your soul, man. As well as afflictions, you got fasting as well, which really is afflictions as well. It says you afflict your soul. That's what you do when you fast. So this is Psalms 109. Let me just get this. Psalms 109 and verse 24. Yeah, Psalms 109 and verse 24. My knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh faileth of fatness. And yes, if you actually did like one of those extended fasts, which even if you go on YouTube, in terms of actual fleshly things that happen, into the mechanics of the body. Yes, first of all the glucose, all the sugar would then be cleared out, which obviously that's a benefit in itself. Your brain starts to run on ketones, which is like another fuel source, because your brain can work on sugar and it works on ketones as well. So those guys who are on a ketogenic diet, which is one that eliminates carbs or aims to eliminate carbs, those guys run on ketones. When you fast extended periods of time, like let's say 2 days, probably more so, probably about 2 days, or even don't know the amount of hours. But there's like a sweet spot. But let's say around 2 days or more. The thing is with that, that's when your body then uses up the glucose, the sugar. It uses up after the glucose, it then starts to break down the fats in your body, and after the fats in your body are broken down, before it then goes to what's it called? It goes to other resources like I think glycogen resources from the liver or the kidney. Not kidney. It's probably from the liver. Yeah, from the liver. But those are the carnal things that happen, man. So when it says in Psalms 109 and verse 24, my knees are weak through fasting and my flesh faileth for fatness, your flesh literally fails of fatness, man. Your body eats up the fat literally in your body when you fast. So yeah, and even just in the general sense, you will lose weight, you get more leaner. That's the thing with fasting. So yeah, and it says in the beginning of that precept, it says my knees are weak through fasting. And yes, it's true. When in the beginning of the phases of, getting into fasting, maybe 24 hours or 12 hours if you just fresh new into fasting, especially I'm talking about dry fasting specifically here, not water fasting. With dry fasting, you do when you get to a certain point. Again, I'll use the 2 days as an example. If you then walk too fast, let's say you're rushing to go somewhere and you're walking too fast, you might find yourself having a cramp, man. That's why sometimes when I'm walking outside and I know I'm on a fast as well, sometimes I gotta take it slow when I'm walking, because if I don't if I don't take care of my legs, man, you start having muscle spasms a little bit. So you gotta be careful in that aspect of things. But until your body then gets used to it, then even if you walk fast, 3 hour bashim yao shai, you'll be fine anyways, because your body will get used to that state of just fasting. So, as they say, feast and famine seasons. So Psalms 109 and verse 24, my knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh faileth of fatness. So yeah, as I explained, it literally eats up the fat in your body and you get leaner. And that's what happens, man. And as I said in the other precepts, Psalms 35 and verse 13, of course, Psalm 69 and verse 10, those things also help to humble the soul, man. To humble yourself. Hence why prayer is added onto fasting as well, and it's far more potent. So that's Psalms 109 and verse 24. So my knees are weak through fasting. And yes, the body does get weak through fasting. It does get weak. And then Darak Yaba Shimei Shai, after you then go through that fast, you're then strengthened after that. It's like cleaning the spirit, and it's like cleaning the flesh as well. Because there are benefits to the body as well, which we are using when we fast. When you take a break from always trying to fuel or pump the body with food, it gives the body time to then reset and of course optimize for nutrient accumulation or nutrient use. Nutrient utilization, that's the term that I was looking for. Which is true. You become more insulin sensitive as well. When you exercise, you become more insulin sensitive, which means you're better able to either store up the sugar as fat, or you're better able to really reduce your sugar levels, and just to keep things simple. So that's Psalms 109 and 24. Let me get the one of Yahushua and the disciples when they tried to cast off a demon, but they couldn't. Because he said, this kind goeth not by it doesn't go out by but by prayer and fasting. That's pretty much the point. But I will read it for you, Akim. So this is Mark 9. Okay, so Mark 9 and verse 20, around verse 20. Actually, no, wait. Verse 17. Verse 17. Alright, so this is Mark 9 and verse 17. It says here, and one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth, and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. Just from that description alone, one could either liken it to, well, really, just to keep things simple again, it's some kind of a sickness, man. I'm trying to pinpoint a name. I was thinking of epilepsy, but really it's another one. It could have been that. But what's it called? I think it begins with a letter A. You know, sometimes it affects children, and Esau always tries to put it on Jake. And you know, when they put the juice, they put juices. When I say juices, the reason why I'm doing this, you know, when you go to the doctors, well, I say, well, when we're of the world, when we used to go to the doctors, and then you know they got that needle in it to press through that liquid. That's what I mean by juice. So when they juice up the babies, you know, and then they develop, autism. Could have been, actually, no, it's not that. No, Salaki. But the point is he had a sickness. Let me get to the point. He had a sickness. So I have brought, this is Matthew 9, Mark 9 and 18. And wheresoever he taketh him, teareth him, and he foameth, and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to thy disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not. So what that meant is, when the man brought his son, of whom had a dumb spirit, as it mentioned in verse 17, you know, which hath a dumb spirit, when he brought him to the disciples couldn't cast out the demon. So verse 19, he answered him and saith, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me. So that in itself was Yahushua also. Even just reading that precept alone, you already know the reason why the disciples couldn't do it, because they needed to get on that level of faith. They needed to be built up to that level of faith where they could cast out the demon from the child. So it says, he said, bring him unto me, verse 20. So Mark 9 of verse 20, and they brought him unto him. And when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming. And he asked his father, how long is it ago since this came unto him? And he said, of a child. So yeah, imagine the child actually asked his father, how long, you know, has that demon been using him? As soon as Yahushua, of course, cast out the spirit, man, that demon. Imagine, and then the father said, and he said, of a child. So since he was a child, man, you know, a younger guy, a young one. And oftentimes, so verse 22, Mark 9 and 22, and oftentimes it hath cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Yahushua said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Let me read that again. Mark 9 and 23. Yahushua said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. You know, so for those of us that believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, all those things are possible, man. Any adversity that we're going through, that we're going through Yahweh Shem Yahushua, through Yahweh Shem Yahushua that we believe in, those things are possible to overcome. So we've got to keep that in mind as a mindset. So Mark 9 and 24, and straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. So it says, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. So he needed that support, faith in the spirit, man. He said he believed, but it's saying that help me. So it says when Yahushua, Mark 9:25, when Yahushua saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him and enter no more into him. So this was when Yahushua actually cast out the spirit, man. In verse 20, that was really talking about when the child had that, that experience, man, where it was forming in the mouth. Well, verse 25, it talks about Yahushua actually rebuking the spirit. So this is Mark 9:25. When Yahushua saw the people when Yahushua saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Yahushua took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. So yeah, that was a heavy demon, a very heavy demon that was attached to that child, man. That was attached to that child. Hence why, you pretty much fainted after that. After that heavy demon was like dragged from him, cast out by Yahushua, he was in that faint state, man. People thought he was dead. So that in itself is a shock factor. That was a heavy demon for that to happen. And it says here, and Mark 9:26. Hold on. Yeah, Mark 9:26. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Yahushua took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. When he was come into the house, his disciple asked him privately, Why could not we cast him out? And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. And that's the key part. And we know that Yahushua prayed a lot, man. Going into the mountains to pray. And of course, fasting as well, frequently. That's what he was doing. With that combination right there, but by prayer and fasting. Because that would then help one increase in the spirit, increase their strength in the spirit, which would therefore allow one to then increase their faith and belief as well in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, which would have allowed the men, his disciples, to be able to cast out that heavy demon. But they themselves, they needed to have that belief, they needed to have that faith in Yahushua, man, in Yahushua, in order to cast out that demon. But of course, this was also a learning process for them. That's why they asked the question, so why couldn't we do it? And Yahushua said, This kind cometh not by nothing, but by prayer and fasting. Man. I'll read it again, Mark 9:29. And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. So when you're in that state where you're praying, you're fasting, you're actually in a very strong state as well in the spirit as well, man. Because that's when you ain't really dealing with the flesh, giving into the fleshly desires in terms of food. And of course, you're really supporting the spirit. You're building up the spirit when you're fasting. So that's what helps right there, man. So that was the key point in Mark 9 and 20 something. Mark 9 verse 17 to about 29. Yeah, to 29. Prayer and fasting are the key weapons we have, man. Now I said I was going to get precept about the weapons of our warfare, not carnal. So let me get that right there. Right here. Alright, so 2 Corinthians 10. This is 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So we don't fight in the same way. Just because we're in the flesh doesn't mean that we have to use the techniques of the flesh, man. That's wisdom right there. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So we don't go out like Esau, Edom, carrying guns and then warring, as in a fleshly manner, man. We don't do that. Now, this is what we do. 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, of the flesh, of this world, but mighty through the Most High, Yahweh, to the pulling down of strongholds. So, of course, through Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that's what actually brings down the strongholds. And then even if you also research the word strongholds, which is, of course, what we use our spiritual warfare for, to pull down those metaphorical strongholds, because strongholds, it goes back to the Greek, or churma, which if you research in the blue letter for that precept, 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 4 specifically, and then you click on the word, or you click on tools, then you click on the word strongholds, the Strong's Concordance code, like G, and you'll say a number, or H, and then you'll say a number. So then when you click on it, it will then say the word Ochurama. If you listen out loud for it, that's the way it sounds, Ochurama, which means, well, in a literal sense, it means castles and fortifications. That's what it means in a literal sense. But in a metaphorical sense, it talks about what people rely on. So dependencies. That's what that word means when it comes to strongholds. So when it says in 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, to the pulling down of strongholds. So it means whatever dependencies the heathens got, our spiritual warfare, our spiritual weapons, which mentioned by Yahushai, prayer and fasting, as well as faith, of course, which prayer and fasting, they all go hand in hand to each other, to support each other. Those are the tools that we've been blessed with in order to pull down the dependencies of the heathen, the vain dependencies of the heathen. So it says there in verse 5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach Yahushai. So as it says there, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself. You know how Esau always exalted himself against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, against the Most High Yahweh. He wants to be like the Most High. Isaiah 14 and verse 14. And it says, that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to obedience of Hamashiach Yahushai. So that right there, the point is that with these spiritual weapons we've been blessed with, we're able to pull down these dependencies of the heathens, man. Remember, Psalms 96 and 5, the gods of the nations are idols. Well, I think before that, in verse 4, it says Yahweh made the heavens. That's the thing. And we know that our power made the heavens and none else. There's no other power that made the heavens, man. Only Yahweh made the heavens, and all credit goes to him at the end of the day. So that's the weapon of our warfare. I'll read it again, 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty. Mighty. So it means prayer and fasting is far more mighty than the fleshly carnal weaponry that Esau have with the lasers, which he's got secretive weapons of which haven't been well known to the public yet, but he will reveal them in the third world to come, especially when trying to fight against Yahushua. So, which will be a failed attempt, as the scriptures foresay. So it says, mighty through the Most High to put to the pulling down of strongholds. So again, I was talking about the dependencies, and I mentioned about the heathen as well. Let me get this. It says in verse 5, casting down imaginations. Now, just based on that phrase alone, casting down imaginations, these are vain imaginations of the heathen. So this is Psalms 2 and verse 1 to 3. Psalms 2 and verse 1, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Simple. Esau himself having a vain thought as well, trying to be like the Most High, when he knows, of course, through the prophets, he'll know that his destiny is to fall, and also not just to fall in terms of his kingdom being destroyed, Babylon being destroyed, but also to serve Israel in the kingdom. So in Yahushua's kingdom, and it says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? And it says here in 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 5, casting down imagination. So all those false thoughts which go against the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that's what's going to be cast down, man. Why did they imagine a vain thing, a worthless thing, which means it holds no power? So Psalms 2 and 2, the kings of the earth set themselves. That's right now Esau, Edom, and of course the heathens as well, which Esau allows to be put in certain positions. It says the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Verse 4, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord Yahweh shall have them in derision. So the Most High will have them in that state where, they're going to be confounded. They won't know what to do. And of course, their plans of which they intended to execute will fail. That's the point. Them trying to get against Yahweh Shem Yahushai, which really, them getting against the elect is them getting against Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And of course, them doing that, as it says, the Lord shall have them in derision. So they're destined for destruction. They're going to be confused and confounded, man. So this is hold on, casting down imaginations every time. There's noise and bringing. So yeah, that's Psalms 2 and verse 1, which really the key part was imagine why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing, which links to 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 5, casting down imaginations. So that was the key part, man. Anything that goes against the Most High will be casted out, destroyed, man, humbled. So that was 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4. I need to get something else here as well. Second Esdras, because we know, why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? They themselves are also they're worthless, they're insignificant, and this proves it. I'm about to read the reason why they're insignificant, the heathens. So this is 2 Esdras 6 and 56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing but be like unto spittle. So that's spit, saliva that comes out of your mouth. Especially, let's say something, you may have inhaled some air and then some bullshit entered into your throat. You need to spit it out, man. So that's what the heathens are compared as spit. So it says, and has likened the abundance to a whole group of them. We're talking about whole countries of them, nations of them, unto liken the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So imagine carrying a bucket, man, full of water. And then as you're carrying that bucket to a location, you get some, let's say you filled it to the brim. As you're walking, you get some droplets, man. You're not going to go back and then get your droplet. In fact, you can't even go back and get the droplet of water. So you just have to leave it and just keep going, man. So that's what the heathens are compared as spittle, a spit, and also as a drop that falls from a bucket, which means they're insignificant. They're worthless. Well, I wouldn't say they're worthless because, they'll be serving us in the kingdom, but that's really their purpose, man. But they're insignificant. That's a better term to use for them. So that's 2 Esdras 6 and verse 56. Now let me get another precept here as well. 2 Esdras 9 and about verse 20. So 2 Esdras 9 and 20. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it. And it says, and I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster, and a plant of a great people. And that's talking about Israel. The grape of the cluster and the plant of a great people. That's talking about Israel, man. Let the multitude perish, which was born in vain. So those people whom I said the abundance of them in the scriptures, who the Most High said in the scriptures in 2 Esdras 6 and verse 56, that they are as a drop that falleth from a vessel. These are the people that were born in vain. It says, and let my grape be kept, and my plant, Israel, for with great labor have I made it perfect. And we know Israel will be in a perfect state once the elect gain their salvation, Yahushua's kingdom is set up, and of course through the loins of the elect, that's when the two-thirds are going to be reborn. The two-thirds referring to Zechariah 13 and verse 8 are going to be reborn, and then that's when they're going to be in that perfect state, man. So they're going to be reborn through the perfect bodies that the elect have been blessed with via Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. So yeah, for great labor have I made it perfect, man. You know, it says, let the multitude perish, then which was born in vain. So that's simple as that, man. I want to see if I had like one more precept. Actually, that was the precept I need to get though. But yeah, the point is, you know, the lesson, prayer and fasting, man. Just by prayer and fasting, things of which you think are unconquerable in the world can be conquered, man. You know, whatever adversity Esau has in wait for us, the prayer and fasting easily surpasses that. That's the thing, faith, and that's what builds up faith as well. You know, as well as the works that we do right now, you know, with the scriptures, studying them and teaching them too. Because as the scripture says, Psalms 119:4, meditate upon the precepts diligently, with careful and persistent effort, because that's what helps nourish our spirits and strengthen our faith, so that when we start seeing all these people bug out with demons oppressing them as well, and also for the glorification of Yahweh, when we do get blessed with the spiritual power, you know, we will be able to cast off demons, you know, and then people with Israelites will witness it specifically, and they'll be willing in the day of the power when Yahweh Shem Yahshai blesses us with spiritual power, which again is for the glorification and to put the credit to the Most High, man. That will be the point, and that fundamentally requires faith and of course prayer and fasting to build up that faith, man. So that's the point of the lesson, Akim. Yaratazar, that you understood. And it's the brother Ratazar Racha Halawiya once more, but let me close out. Ka Halaim La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the great Muslim apostles. Thought Yahshai for the strength in order to make this video. And Yaratazar, which means Yahweh willing, that you also once more understood the lesson. So Shalom, Shalom.